You know, you'd want him to be your doctor, I think. Anyway, he made an absolute fortune, never married, didn't have any children, and when he died, bless him, he left us the lot, including £40,000, which in 1719 was a huge amount of money, to build a library in his name. This was what he wanted. His ego was as big as his wallet. And he wanted this mausoleum type structure, which he'd broadly designed as well as organising where it was going to go before he died. This was what he wanted. It was our first science library, but it is worth noting that the opening party cost £20,000. When it was finally opened in 1749, the opening party cost £20,000 and went over 5 days. Kings and queens from all over, Europe came for this massive event. You can see it's built in the classical style. It was finally, because it took such a long time, designed by somebody called James Gibbs, who had actually travelled to Rome, unlike everybody else, and had actually been in Rome and studied architecture in Rome. So he was the first proper architect to do so. This building features in many editions of Inspector Morse, if you've ever seen an Inspector Morse, or Lewis or Endeavour, and lots of movies come to get filmed in this square, because there's nothing here that puts it in the 20th or 21st century. So we've got lots of lorries and limousines and film stars swanning about. Who did we have here a couple of weeks ago? We had Felicity Jones and, oh gosh, I'm trying to think what his name is, very famous actor who played Stephen Hawking. Yep, thank you. Redmayne was here. And so everybody stops doing anything and just looks at that, don't they? So we have a lot of filming. But the big church at the end, that's where it all started. There's been a church on that site since the 700s. But when these scholars started to come to Oxford, for no real reason other than the fact we had a reputation for having a couple of very learned scholars here, the numbers grew quite dramatically, quite quickly, and men of the church, bishops from all over the country, started sending young clerics here for an education. All these young men in their long gowns arriving in Oxford created a lot of friction. The young men of the town didn't like it. There were many outbreaks of violence, and in one night alone, in the 1355, over 100 people lost their lives in one night. I mean, it was really serious. This wasn't a bit of, I don't like you. This was, everyone carried a knife. It was dangerous. So these scholars needed to form a sort of a group or a union, like a trade union or a guild, just like any other craft, and they chose that church as their meeting place. And the Church of St. Mary the Virgin has been the university church ever since then. That's where they tried to negotiate with the town elders. That's where they got together to form the group, and that group eventually became the university. The first written reference we have to university, 1214. Just for reference, it was after a particularly bloody skirmish, which in fact started because a girl of the town was found dead, and the town people concluded that she'd been systematically murdered by 3 students. They lynched the students without a trial, huge retribution going on from the university, etc. Massive fracas drama. A whole load of students fled Oxford in fear of their lives and set up Cambridge University. So, if you want to know which one came first, there is your answer. We're the oldest university. Okay, you can go up the tower of that. Can you see there's a balcony up there? It goes the whole way around the church, and you will get a great view from up there into all these colleges that surround this square at the end. Okay, but there's no lift. And you wouldn't get in a lift if it was built in 1280, would you? There's no lift, but it's 127 steps and it costs £5. Now we're going to walk to the other end of the square. We're going to walk past another college on our right. This is called Brasenose College, and this was the college of the Prime Minister, whose name we cannot mention in Oxford. The Prime Minister who gave us a referendum on whether to remain in the EU.
All right, okay.
He is blamed for everything, although lots of people can't crown themselves in glory. It's his fault. Nobody speaketh to him in Oxford anymore. There's also the College of William Golding and Mark Williams, Ron Weasley's father in Harry.
Really magical.
Brasenose College on the right. We're going to go down to the other end of the square. You can walk on the pavement, or you can take a medieval foot massage by walking on the cobbles. Okay. So just to be clear, we've got a written reference to the university, 1214. But the university was the very unformed thing, a sort of casual group of scholars, and those scholars used to rent rooms where they would teach, and then people started to found these colleges because that was the way of creating a safe environment for the scholars to come to Oxford. So if you were a bishop of somewhere, you'd found a college, produce a few buildings, safe, like a little monastery, and the scholars could study in there, safe from the violence of the streets and away from the temptations of the town. So that was how the collegiate system kind of developed. And I brought you here to have a look at another one. Really beautiful range of buildings, which looks like a Walt Disney Fairy Princess Castle. You expect sparkle dust to come out of those twin towers. Sorry, I shouldn't say twin towers. Those towers over there. This is another one of our 38 colleges. It's called All Souls College. It has no students at all. It only has very senior academic research fellows who have got huge brains, and they get to drink very fine wine. There's only about 70 of them, and they don't even live there. I mean, it's just beautiful, isn't it? Founded, you can see, by a man of the church, Archbishop Chichile. Can you see him in the round thing above the gate with his bishop's hat on? Archbishop Chichile, a particularly bloodthirsty sort of bishop. But he dedicated this college to all souls who lost their lives during the 100-year war with France. These early bishops did want to educate young men to run the country. They did, but they had another reason for founding colleges. They believed that if they founded a college, and in the rule book of the college it said, every member of this college has to go to the chapel and pray for my soul every day, they believed that they would sit with God for eternity. So that was one way of guaranteeing your place in heaven. Because in medieval times it was believed that all of us were going to languish in purgatory forever. And only a very select few were actually going to go up and sit with God. So this was their way of doing it. Whoops. Okay, that's what I can say. Whoops. Right, we're going to leave this square now and make our way slowly down to a college. I'm going to stop, hopefully very briefly here, to show you another character. Then we're going to go down to the High Street, turn left. These little guys holding up this porch, anybody recognise them? From Narnia? This is Mr. Tumnus from Narnia. C.S. Lewis used to preach in that church, walk out that door, see these guys nearly every day. So there's another one of your characters for you. statue of a gentleman there holding a hat. That's someone called Cecil Rhodes. And when we're somewhere quieter, I'll talk about him in Oxford. Okay, so we're going to go down to the Cottingham Pond. Down there. Okay, just a quick anecdote for you. I pointed at the statue of Cecil Rhodes. Cecil Rhodes, very controversial figure today. Many people want that statue taken down because they are offended by how he made his fortune in southern Africa. Rhodesia obviously was very for him. Good scholarship program when he died, started in 1901. A Rhodes Scholar came here from America, Mr. Bill Clinton. He had his room down there, dead on the left. Let's go down there and I will tell the rest of the story. Just down there. The visitor's room just down there when he was here. He only came for 1 year. We laugh about it here in Oxford because this lane today is called Magpie Lane, but it used to, in medieval times, be called Rope Lane because it was the heart of our red light district. Sorry about that, but I think it's quite amusing. I don't get too much in much, does it? Just to let you know where we are, we're about to get to this, having started the tour outside the old Oxford, we're about to get to the end of it, southern tip. This is Merton College here, one of our most famous colleges, founded in 1264 by somebody called Walter de Merton, who was another bishop. It took them 180 years to build the chapel. So these guys had real vision and foresight. You know, these things weren't realised in their time, but you did expect a lot of time in heaven, I suppose. Merton College is known as being a very serious college. It was Tolkien's college. It is known as the place where fun goes to die. But I don't think many of the students there would agree with it. All of our colleges have got different personalities. You know, I mean, they really do, and you get, so it's known as being very serious. That little gate there, we're not going down there, but if you're here later and you want a nice stroll in open countryside, you can go down there through a little kissing gate and you're right on Church Meadow where you can access the river and lovely walks. But we're going to head off down to the right now and go and visit that college. None of these colleges have to let me in or us in or anybody in. They're all private, some open sometimes, some open on a commercial basis and charge you to go in. Christchurch will charge you £10 to go and see Christchurch College. This college, as you can see, it's closed today, but you know, it's open because I love this college. It's one of my absolute favourites. It's also our smallest proper college, proper college, about 400 members. It's called Corpus Christi, the body of Christ. Corpus, body, Christi, of Christ. Corpus Christi. And it was founded in 1517 by another bishop called Bishop Richard Fox. and you can see him up there. Now he wanted to found a monastic foundation. About 1517 was the year that Luther posted his tracts, and people could feel that there was a change coming, and his friends said to him, Richard, don't do that, just found a non-monastic college and it's more likely to be okay, just as well. Because a few years later, Henry VIII had all the monastic foundations at Oxford completely dissolved, and this college survived. So Richard Fox was one of the good guys. He was a genuine guy, and this was what he created. This was the whole of the original college as we see it in this quad. Like most of the colleges, we come through a gatehouse where there's a porter keeping everybody in and out, if you like. Again, this is this idea of keeping the members here safe, but also secluded. Hoping they weren't going to visit those ale houses in the town and those pretty girls too. They wanted to focus on their studies. But it's absolutely typical. Every college that you go into, however modern, however old, however big, however small, is made up of all the same ingredients. There's a hall, which in this case is over there, where the members of the college still have all their meals today. They don't have to. But all the students can have breakfast, lunch, self-service meals in there. But if you want to book in for a full sit-down meal, you need to book in, because this college was built for 20 members and they probably have seating for 100 in there. But so people need to do that. Up there, annoyingly there's no lights on, but that range over there, first floor, you call it the second floor, some of you. The floor above the ground floor, how about that? That's the library, the old library. All our old libraries had to be upstairs so that the books did not get damp. So all libraries upstairs. There'd be a chapel, which is in that corner, and we're going to go and have a look at that in a minute. And there would be rooms for the scholars to live in. Now this college was founded for 20 scholars, half of them junior scholars and half of them more senior. They'd share rooms. The junior scholar would sleep on a truckle bed, pull-out bed. It's a bit like living in a chest of drawers. And gone, okay? And a senior scholar would get the proper bed on top. Okay? All accommodation in our colleges is arranged in the same way. It's arranged off these staircases. Each of these doors with a number above it, and usually it's Roman numerals, but here it isn't, leads to a staircase, and the rooms go off the staircase going up. There are no corridors at all. If your friend is in the next door room, you've got to come downstairs, out and back up again. Corridors spread fire. So if there's no corridors, you're limiting any fire. Fire was a big hazard, as you can imagine. But you will see, so your address, if you're a member of this college, your address is going to be Staircase 12, Corpus Christi College, Oxford. That's it. That's how people know how to find you. Even modern colleges and new built, bits that are newly built, are built on the same basic principles. Although many do now allow corridors, because we have things like sprinkler systems and stuff to take care of that. And also, when they started building accommodation for women, they didn't think women should go outside. It was a well-known problem when they first admitted women to some of these colleges, that the men would set the fire alarms off in the middle of the night in a hope of seeing the few girls rush into the quads in their nighties. So the novelty soon wore off and they got used to them. But it made a big change, because this idea, these rooms would have had no bathrooms or anything attached to them. There would have been a basin on the staircase, and I remember that. I remember the days when all these staircases just had a basin, and if you wanted anything else, you'd have to toddle off to another part of the college. Okay, so clearly that wasn't going to work when women got involved. And now students not only expect their own room, but they expect an ensuite bathroom as well. So the pressure on accommodation has just got more and more and more. So all the colleges have had to build more accommodation if they've got space, and buy other buildings all over Oxford and other land that they have developed into modern student housing. So what you're seeing today is not where most of the students live, but most colleges try to make sure that first year students can live on the original campus, because that's when you arrive. It might be the first time you've been away from home. You're 18 years old, you arrive here, don't know anybody, you go into the hall for your first meal. You don't know what to talk about because these people aren't doing your subject. Everybody's doing a mixture of subjects. And that's one of the great things about an education here, is that you don't just meet the biggest brains doing your subject, that your mates in your college, the people you drink with, the people in the next door room, the people you eat with, people you row with, they're all doing all the different subjects. So when you become a world leader, you will know everybody. You'll know the people at the top of all professions, and that's a big deal. You will notice in all the colleges as well that you go into, you will see some graffiti around the walls. All the colleges have it, and this graffiti illustrates the results of the rowing races between the colleges. So you've probably heard about our big race between Cambridge and Oxford that happens in London every spring, usually on the coldest day of the year. Well, all our colleges have teams for everything. Rowing, football, rugby, cricket, tiddlywinks, the lot. Okay? Drinking and academia, everything. But it's only the rowing results that they're allowed to put up on the boards, and they leave them up until they get a better year. Then they scrub them out. You'll see that as well. I should probably mention, I don't know if you can see, there's a fantastic gold pelican up here. And the pelican is the sign of this college. If you see another building in Oxford with a pelican on it, it probably belongs to this college. Pelicans mythologically pluck at their own breast to draw blood, and they feed their babies, they feed their young from their own blood. Hence, Corpus Christi, the body of Christ. It's a well-known symbol. Any questions before we go into the chapel? Right. You might get a quick sit down, actually, in the chapel. I used to feel really uncomfortable doing this, but I used to feel like I was impersonating a bishop. Now I don't feel so bad, I'm used to it. I've got groups of these people who are just so desperate to sit down, and so unfair not to let me. Now I'm not going to tell you that this is one of our most exciting all-round chapels, because it really, really isn't. The nice thing about it is that it is as it was originally built in 1517, shortly thereafter. Which is really quite nice. Now, all our colleges have got chapels. Some of them are fantastic, huge, like Merton College we saw, Magdalen College, New College, Christchurch College. These huge, fantastic, magnificent chapels. But none of them are idle today, although it's no longer compulsory for the members of the college to come here. That was relaxed at the end of the 19th century. And we also now accept people other than Anglicans. We even started accepting Catholics in the middle of the 19th century. So, there you go. Now you can get anything at all. But these chapels are really busy. Many of them have fantastic recitals, music, still have services here, but very inclusive ones. And if you were ever a member of the college, you are allowed to come back here to get married or to have your children baptised, which is really nice. Now this chapel hasn't got any exciting glass. This is the only example of 1930s stained glass I can think of in Oxford College Chapel. Lots of our very original glass was destroyed during the Reformation or during the Civil War, although some does remain in New College, Christchurch College. I mean, lots of colleges do still have older glass. We used to take it down and hide it and then put it back up again. But we don't have any in here. But we do have, you can see the pelican, bottom right hand pane down there, and the pelican and Archbishop Fox's hat up there as well. This is usually the point, particularly that I tell you that everybody, all the students who come here from the European Union pay £9,250 a year in tuition fees. On top of that, you have got your food, accommodation and beer money. People who come from outside the European Union pay whatever the cost of the course is. Something like medicine is about £40,000 a year, something like English or history is closer to £20,000 a year. So it really does just depend on what the course fees are.
Is it change after Brexit?
I'm sorry, yeah. Well, I've been asked, is it going to change after Brexit? Well, until they appoint me as Education Secretary, I don't think I can answer that question. And I don't think that's very likely, really, although I might do a better job. We don't know. It won't change straight away, I'm sure, because we've got people in the system and that would, you couldn't do that. But there's bound to be some adjustment at some point, isn't there?
I think so, yes.
Yes, I know. There are so many kind of scholarship schemes and funding programs because our postgraduate students literally come from all over the world. We've got over 1,000 from the States, 1,500 from China, everywhere. And many of those have come on some sort of scholarship program. There are so many that a lot of people find that they do get a huge amount of assistance with finances. Right, come on, I've got the best view in Oxford to show you. It does involve having to walk a bit. I knew there was something missing. That's why the lectern is going. Aha. This works.
About this woman, whenever I see her, I want her to come up here.
I think you just... We were going to stand on top of it. We've actually come up a level, and this ground here is one of the bastions that was built in that wall. Yeah? which they have cleverly converted at this college into a really funky lecture theatre. So I know you're all, oh, we've got such an amazing view, we're never going to listen to a word you say. I get that, because this is fantastic. Let's do this. So that's Corpus Christi College, where we are still in Corpus Christi. The gardens down there behind me are the gardens of Christ Church College. Christ Church College is probably our most famous college. It's our poshest college. It's best known all over the world. You will recognise pictures of elements of Christ Church College, and it's where they did a lot of Harry Potter filming as well. Okay. Christ Church College was the home of Alice. Now, we had no women in Oxford University. Professors, the senior members of colleges weren't allowed to be married either. The only person in a college who was allowed to be married is the head of a college. And the head of this college was Dean Henry Liddell. He had 7 children, and one of them was Alice. So she was a rare thing, a child in an Oxford college. And it was the mathematics professor there, Charles Dodgson, that you know as Lewis Carroll, who befriended the children, told them stories, these amazing adventures, which featured everybody they knew. Alice's father was the White Rabbit. I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. He'd always be running around the college saying how late he was. So Christ Church is special for lots of reasons. Its college chapel, originally built by Augustinian monks in the 1200s, is there. It is now not only the chapel of Christ Church College, it is also our city cathedral. When Henry VIII made us a city in 1546, he'd run out of money by then, and he had taken over the college from Cardinal Wolsey, who had founded it, and he made the chapel our city cathedral. And if you go into the cathedral, you will be way, way, way down there, and you'll look up at that window and go, I was up there? Really? Because it doesn't make any sense. The Great Hall, built by Cardinal Wolsey, is the square tower over there, which is the hall at Hogwarts in Harry Potter. The 2 rivers that surround Oxford, west side the Thames, east side the River Cherwell, join just beyond that tree line, just at that tree line down there. The 2 rivers meet, and then having cut the whole way around the town of Oxford. So just trying to give you your bearings. So that is the southern perimeter wall of the old town of Oxford. The gardens where Alice used to play croquet with her governess, the Red Queen in the books. We've got this fantastic Christ Church College from this great site. Corpus Christi, just going back to that, one of my favourite colleges, is one of the smallest. How do people choose which college to go to? We don't have a hat that does that. People come, they visit us on open days, they go around the colleges. And some people want to be in a big college, some people in a small college, some people in a modern college, people in old colleges. You want to be in the middle of town, you want to be just outside the town. There's lots of different reasons why you might choose a college. Quite often, it is still today geographical. So the Bishop of Lincoln, people from that part of England still choose 600 years later to go to that college. It's one thing. You might have family connected to a college, or there may be a professor, a don as we call them, in a college whose books you've read, who you're particularly inspired by, and you hope if you go to their college that they might become your tutor. So, but people come and they visit, and most people apply for a particular college, but you don't have to. You can put in an open application, and if the university thinks you should go for interviews, they'll find a college to interview. Does that make sense? It's a complicated system, but it works. It works for humans. So Corpus Christi College, one of our smallest colleges, it's known for its wildlife. There's a hive of bees. David, the gardener who we've met, has put a fox in the border there, or in honour of Bishop Fox, who founded the college. They've got their bees, and it is this college that hosts the annual tortoise race. Most of the college own a tortoise, and they all come here one day in June, and they have the slowest race in history. But if you work this hard, we have 3 very intensive 8-week terms, you need to let off steam screaming at a tortoise to go faster. Any questions? It is time, I'm afraid, for us to start to make our way back to Broad Street. We've got a few more things to look at on the way back, but we will be heading in that direction. Do watch yourselves on the stairs. You're taking your pictures because you won't get up here again.
Amazing tree.
You apply to one college. But sometimes if they haven't got a space for you, so say this college